Hi everyone, Rose Webster here. I reached out to a few Facebook groups and Oceans Initiative got back to me and they actually stated that we're not sure the DFO routinely tests for that bacteria in their necropsies. So I'm still quite concerned whether or not Wolbachia will even be tested for. Certainly we need to know West Nile virus, St. Louis encephalitis, and Zika. Now, Oceans Initiative suggested I contact the Department of Fisheries and Oceans. Well, I did that in December 2016, and I'll show you that. Dominic LeBlanc had stated that he deeply shared my concerns. Now, my concerns were about Wolbachia and Zika getting into both marine life and birds. So I wanted to share that with you. Now, another thing that was very kind of strange is I have a Facebook page devoted to Zika. It's not hugely popular. I have 30 likes on it. I know all 30 people that like it, and 31 followers. And Facebook lets me know who follows as well as who likes. And I found out someone from, get this, if we're not making headway, I don't know what is. But Ronald Torino is now following my page. No, he didn't like it. But he's from the UN, so that was quite an interesting surprise. Now, I want to let you know that CBC kind of disappointed me. I took them off the petition after Nancy Russell did a really good job of reporting on the facts. And then we saw another misleading title that said, 7 right whales entangled this summer, new data shows. Well, guess what? It should read, out of 16 dead whales, 2 died of entanglement. And thankfully, Dr. Doe also confirmed that, and I'll show you that. Now, there was a story about beluga whales in Alaska not recovering, and scientists are baffled. Now, just so you know, it's not that I think Wolbachia is the problem all the time. I listen to these pathologists, and they will say, well, there were no algae blooms, there were no this or that. If there were, we'd see this or that, etc., etc. It's when they're stumped and they're consuming things, planktiferous fish, and things like mosquito larvae, that my alarm bells start going off and think Wolbachia, because Wolbachia in some species will not cause a problem at all. In other species, it will. It's like Jekyll and Hyde. And, you know, there are many studies out there showing that it's not even that effective as keeping viruses down over time. But it's maternally inherited, so it can't be taken back. So even if I'm wrong, fine. If I'm wrong, fine. But let's test them, because we can't take this back. This just keeps going on and on and on. Now, I want to show you this CBC post that got disabled of mine. It was the most liked comment. Within 11 hours, it was taken down, I believe by Eileen Kinley and probably a bunch of other people that flagged it. And her reason was my opinion was not based on science. Well, CBC has a disclaimer that says any opinions are not endorsed necessarily by them. So I can't even understand why they take it down, because it's based on recent studies and probability related to phylogenetics and things that just make sense in the natural environment. Well, guess what? She quoted, and I'll show you, a studies by Hertig in 1936. And these results were based on what happens with Wolbachia in chicken embryos and mice. Now, I get criticized for quoting things from 3 months ago. I'm using studies from 2015, etc. How somebody can pull mine down and this person stays up and I prove her wrong, and then that article just disappears, no longer is promoted on their main page, commenting is closed, there's only 10 comments. So I am getting censored to death, CBC. And I'm a taxpayer. I help fund what you're doing. So that kind of made no sense. And some of my friends noticed. I'll show you what they had to say. Yeah, okay, chicken embryos in mice, 1936. That's what we're going to hang on to. Well, luckily, Dr. Doe did clear up some things. He said it's pretty obvious something is really wrong. And there was also research by Hamilton that said, Dr. Hamilton, that said out of every whale that gets washed up, there's like 4 or 5 that don't, that are out there dead. My guess is there's 50 to 60 dead whale carcasses out there in the ocean that are acting as reservoir hosts for other organisms and species to carry on the Wolbachia and Zika and birds and mites and fleas and other things that are blood-sucking arthropods. But here's the thing, Wolbachia may be being transmitted by mosquitoes as well. So we have a lot of things. It could be in the seawater getting into the cuts they get from entanglement, or the mouth abrasions. A lot of whales have abrasions and so on. I think any of these baleen whales, any of these mammals that are consuming planktiferous fish or copepods that consume plant and animal, and I do want to say I'm very disappointed with the media push that I'm seeing, like krill and kelphin are now only consuming phytoplankton, because that's false. You can go to the library, they're omnivores, consume both. So there's no way the argument that whales are not getting exposed to these pathogens is panning out. We need to know that they are going to be tested for Wolbachia. I think this is a bigger issue than climate change, in fact. So thanks for listening. I'll keep you updated. We're up to 585 supporters now, and you can have family members sign, so feel free. They won't ding you for that, or they'll count it. So ask a friend or family member, and let's make sure this gets addressed. Thanks for listening.